Hey everybody, Ryan here with Rays Latest. Today I want to talk about Victor Mesa Jr. being traded to the Tampa Bay Rays, as well as kind of just dabbling into the Edwin Uceta winning his arbitration hearing in Arizona this past week. But first, let's just dive into Victor Mesa Jr. He was traded to the Rays after being DFA'd by the Marlins this past Tuesday. We, in exchange, gave them minor league infielder Angel Brockie in return. Now, Victor Mesa, he's one of those players where he's been in the system for a long time. He was signed to the international signing pool over 6 years ago. He has been in the Marlins system. He is the longest tenured Marlins minor leaguer in the system. He made his debut last season in 2025. In a AAA level last year, he hit 286 with an 813 OPS, 7 homers, 33 RBIs, 121 WRC plus. And in 52 games played, and he was called up to the majors where he made his debut last season as well. He played in 16 games. He hit 188 with a 641 OPS, 1 homer, 6 RBIs, and a WRC plus of 81. So it's one of those, and I think the biggest plus side to this is that he is a left-handed hitting outfielder in a room where we lack left-handed hitting outfielders. Or sorry, we have too many left-handed hitting outfielders, and I think that this is kind of an interesting get for the Rays, just solely based on the fact that we already have Simpson, we already have Melton, we have Cedric Mullins, we have a bunch of left-handed hitters, especially in our outfield room. And the biggest question mark that we've had kind of this whole offseason is what right-handed hitting outfielders are we going to get to go play matchups? What right-handed outfielders are we going to hit to be able to play against left-handed starters? When a left-handed hitter's struggling, when are we going to get a right-handed outfielder that's going to kind of fill in for him? That's kind of always been the question mark for us, I feel like. And I think that grabbing a left-handed hitter outfielder, it's kind of it's interesting in my opinion, and I think that Messa Jr. brings a different kind of look to the Rays, in my opinion. And I don't think I don't think he's gonna make the 40-man roster, in my opinion, or he might make the 40-man, but he's not making the opening day roster. And I think that him being in the minor league system for so long and kind of just now making his debut in 2025 at 23 or 24, it's it's interesting to kind of see how his development has came along and that being such a slow pace. And I get it. The international signing pool, it is used mainly for guys that are more project based, which is pure talent. And to kind of just grow who they are and just get them into your system early. But him being in that Marlins system for 6 years, it's kind of eye-opening and kind of like what are we missing here, or what is he not going to be able to do for us? And I think that bringing him over to the Rays, kind of giving him a fresh start, I think that could be the X factor for him, and kind of that way of like he needs a fresh look, he needs a fresh start, and kind of remold himself to where he should be. And in a minor league level, he hit well. I mean, hitting 281, 286 rather, in AAA is very good. But the translation directly over to Major League Baseball in 16 games, granted it is a small sample size, a 188 batting average is not going to cut it. And granted, his on base percentage is upwards of 300 with a 344 slugging percentage. So he's getting on base at a decent level, and he can hit doubles, he can hit for power. It's interesting to kind of see how he fits into that outfield room as it is, and I'm interested to kind of see how he folds into the mix there, and I'm interested to see kind of what the point of this is and kind of how he can join and bolster our current roster if that's the plan for him. I mean, granted, you give up Brocky for him, who was great. He signed in 2024 in the international signing class. He he hit 337 in the Dominican Summer League with 21 RBIs, 17 stolen bases. in 142 WRC plus in 51 games, which is phenomenal. Granted, it is the Dominican Summer League, so the level of play is a little lower, but he led all rookie level players in minor league baseball with 30 hit by pitches since his pro debut. And his career OBP is a 403. So it's one of those things where it's like you give up a gritty player like that who's willing to do whatever it takes to get on base, who's willing to do anything to do what he needs to do from a baseball perspective to get on base and to produce runs for your team. It's interesting to kind of see how that is what we decided to give up for a 6 year minor leaguer who's kind of struggled at a big league level. So I'm interested to kind of see where Neander's going with this, and I'm interested to kind of see how that pulls out and and kind of see how it forms. Because I mean, I think Brocky's a great player. He's young, he's 19. He hits for a great level. He gets on base. He can hit for power, hit RBIs, steal bases. It's interesting why we would give him up. But granted, Victor Mesa Jr. in the baseball world is kind of a big name prospect in the prospect world. It's a big name. So I think that the 1-for-1 after him being DFA'd, which also brings it into it, him being DFA'd, the trade, it's interesting. I don't fully understand kind of the give and take there, but we'll see how it plays out and kind of see how Messa Jr. kind of shapes himself in this new race system, new organization that he finds himself in. So it'll be interesting to kind of see kind of what he can do and kind of see what he can kind of bring to the table. But the next thing I want to talk about is Uceta winning his arbitration case. He opted for the 1.525 million in his on his side. The Rays decided that they only were going to offer him 1.2 million. He ended up winning his arbitration case to get paid the full 1.525 million, along with the biggest arbitration case in history with Tarek Skubal getting his 32 million, where the Tigers came in at an abysmally low 19 million, which is it's just absurd that the reigning two-time back-to-back Cy Young winner is worth 19 million. Are you crazy? Like that's an absurd number that the Tigers would even the fact that they would even come out with that is crazy. But I get it. You're not going to lose him in if he wins arbitration. Oh well. So like it's one of those things where it just looks like from an outside perspective that you're undervaluing him and you're trying to lowball him, which of course they should. Like there's nothing they can lose in arbitration. They're not going to leave. They it's either they win arbitration or they lose arbitration, and they get the money they want or they don't get the money they want. That's how that works. And I think any organization should undercut and lowball every player, in my opinion, if you're especially if you're working with a strict salary cap. But I think that in Uceda's case, the $300,000 differential, which is slightly outside of the difference between the cutoff difference between the money that's you go to arbitration because the difference between you and your club's money is too much. He's slightly wrong on the outside of the cutoff range. Anyways, players are 5-0 against their clubs in arbitration. His original decision was heard and sealed January 29th, but they kept it closed, the decision closed, because Graham Ashcraft, which was in almost the same identical situation as Uceta, his hearing was a little later. So they decided to postpone the release of what happened. So there was nothing in terms of collusion and things of that nature with his hearing. So he ended up winning his hearing as well, but they waited to kind of those release those numbers until his hearing was done. So nobody thought that his hearing was influenced by that one. It's like, oh well, he won his. Why didn't we win his? So it's one of those. So they both ended up winning. I think it's good for USETA. I think the $300,000 difference for the club is nothing major to kind of gripe on, and I think that he's going to be great for us. I think he's going to really need to step up, and I think it's his job to lose at the end of the day for that closing role. And I think that him winning his arbitration case, getting that extra $300,000 for this season, is kind of one of those things where you get that extra money, the courts think that you're that valuable. I think it gives you a little more sense of, okay, I am worth that much money. Let's go prove that I'm worth that much money for next season and things of that nature when I get to free agency in the coming future. So I think winning arbitration cases is huge for player mentality, and I think it's huge for players to be able to, I would say, kind of get that understanding that they are worth that much money. And I think that the court siding with the player in the majority of these is kind of just another thing to where you see with Major League Baseball is that clubs are lowballing rookie players and pre-arbitration and arbitration eligible players. Like I said, as they should. You have nothing to lose lowballing a player, but I think that these courts are slowly starting to fully side with the players in a lot of these arguments because they deserve it. And I think that it's great for the teams. I think it's great for the players to get what they deserve. And I think that when you see players sign these big contracts with guaranteed money before they reach arbitration eligibility, like you see with the Acuñas and the Albies and the Michael Harrises and the Christian Campbells, I think you're going to see a lot more of that solely because all of these players are winning their arbitration cases, so they're getting paid the money that they want to get. And I think locking in players for those 10-year, $100 million deals that you look at it on paper, like, well, why did you just give Christian Campbell an 8-year contract? And it's like, he's a great player. He's kind of proved at a big league level what he can do. You can get him locked in for the next 8 seasons at $10 million a year. And in 4 years, if he plays at this same level that he's been playing at, you're going to have to owe him 35 million to just keep him in your clubhouse. And that's what we saw with Acuna, Acuna's getting paid like $19 million a year. He's one of the most notoriable biggest players in Major League Baseball. But what Anthopoulos does in Atlanta is he locks in his players at such an early date with Michael Harris. Michael Harris had a half of a great season and gets a massive contract year wise to lock him in at a low level. And a lot of these players, and especially people in Acuna's situation and Albi's situation, you're from a foreign country. You're from Venezuela. You're from Curacao. It's you've never seen this type of money in your entire life. And $2 million in Curacao can do wonders for an entire family. And when you give Ozzy Albies $80 million guaranteed, granted, he's worth more than that, obviously, but you tell him, hey, if you blow your ACL out in 3 years, the year you're free agent eligible, and you're not going to get a lot of money because your knees exploded, I'm guaranteeing you 8 years, $80 million. Here you go. Your family's set for the rest of their lives. Here's $80 million guaranteed, no matter what happens. You're going to see a lot more of that. And I think we've slowly started going into that phase to where I think Junior, if the Rays can foot the bill, it's like what we saw with Wander Franco. He's not getting paid that much money AAV, but he's locked in for 10 years. And those are the kind of contracts that, as the Rays, we're going to need to see. You need to guarantee Caminero 10 years, $150 million. Just be like, here you go. You play in the state of Florida, you play 81 games plus the 3 or 4 you play in Miami with zero state income tax. Here you go. That's gonna prove numbers to that. If Caminero were to blow his UCL and his ACL out in 2 seasons, and maybe never play baseball again. See, that's the thing with baseball is that there's so many freak injuries that happen just from ligament standpoint, from muscular. If you get a shoulder injury, you're pretty much toast, especially from a pitching perspective. So it's just I think it's just fundamental that especially Caminero gets this long extension, gets this 10-year deal, gets to be able to get guaranteed money, ensure that his family's future for the rest of their lives and for multiple generations, not have to work a day in their lives, just solely based on the fact that he's really good at baseball. And to guarantee his family that money is huge. And if he wants to bet on himself, okay. If his agent wants him to bet on himself, okay. But when you have $150 million staring you in the face, guaranteed, it's hard to say no to that, especially with all the different things that can happen. So I'm done with my rant on that situation. I've kind of been having that on my mind recently about the whole arbitration and guaranteed contracts, things of that nature. But you guys let me know what you guys think about Victor Mesa Jr. trade, as well as what you think about you said a winning arbitration, and then please let me know what you guys think about my thoughts on these early guaranteed contracts with players, and kind of if you think it's a good idea, if you think it's a bad idea, and kind of how you would go about that. But you guys have a great one.